I feel like I haven't chatted with you in a while, but I wanted to give an update on what I've been reading for the past few weeks in December. And then I also got some books for Christmas, so I wanted to share that. Let's start with the only book I have actually finished in December, which is Migrations by Charlotte McConney. This is like a slightly dystopic book. It's set in like a near future where the majority of the animals on the planet are going extinct. Like there's basically no more fish anymore. Bears are extinct, wolves are extinct, like all the birds are dying out. And it's about this woman named Franny Stone. It starts with her traveling to Greenland to try and track this type of bird called an Arctic tern. And she wants to track their migration. They migrate from like the North Pole to Antarctica every year. And so she wants to study their migrations. It's like her last opportunity to do so because they're all like dying. And she convinces a fishing boat to take her as a passenger and to follow these terns. That's like present day. And then you flip back and forth between present day and her past. She has like a very confusing past. Like she's from Ireland, but she moved to Australia when she was young. And so she has this kind of like not sure where her home is. And she's a very like wandering soul. Like she's constantly moving from place to place and exploring different parts of the world. And so you kind of follow her in her past and her family relationships then, and like her present, and trying to track these birds. I will say like I thought this book was just okay, and I will probably never reread it. I liked a lot of the writing in it. Like I underlined I underlined some of it because I liked it and I thought it was kind of unique little lines here and there. And there was some interesting like environmental imagery, especially with like animals, since that's obviously a huge part of the book, and like with like the coldness because they're on the sea and they start in Greenland with like glaciers and a lot of like ice. And so there was like an interesting description of that. But overall, like I just thought it was fine. I will say that the relationship in this book, while like I didn't love parts of it, it did make me think about their like dynamic, and like at least that was something like it evoked thought in me. I'm intentionally being vague because I don't want to give anything away, but maybe if you've read this book, then you know what I mean. There's 2 books that I'm currently in the middle of. I'm just about halfway through Crime and Punishment, and I'm kind of sad because I'm not, like, loving it. Like, it's good, and I'm actually underlining, like, a lot in it, but it's just not, like, hitting how I thought it was going to. A lot of people say there's a lot of philosophical discussion as, like, the main character is feeling guilt or just, like, grappling with the fact that he committed this crime. Like, people say there's a lot of interesting writing around that, and, like, I think that there is. It's just so much less than what I thought it was going to be. Like, it feels like it's only a couple of pages every 50 pages, like 4 pages every 50 pages. And so I'm, like, going through a lot that, like, of plot, but there isn't a lot of plot. It's just a lot of meandering, I guess, or just, like, description in general. And so I'm not sure I'm finding it worth it to read all of that just to get to the little bits that are good. The writing is very good, which I think is the reason why I'm not like, oh my god, I hate this book. Like, it's easy to get through the 50 pages. It's just like, I'm wondering why it's like that, I guess. I do really want to finish it. I only have like 300 pages left, and like, I do want to work through it. So yeah, that's that. And then the last book that I'm currently reading is Permafrost by Ava Baltazar. This book is about this lesbian who all she wants to do is read and have sex, and she's flitting through life and moving to different countries and to try and build that lifestyle, essentially. This book is really sad, like much more depressing than I thought it was. To be fair, I did not read the back of it because I just like Eva Baltazar, so I just bought it. But a lot of it is about like suicide and medicating yourself and feeling extremely detached from the way that everybody else lives their life. So I just took a little break from it because I was just feeling bogged down by it, but I was enjoying it. Like, I think it's really well written, and a lot of like insightful commentary on the modern world. So I will definitely finish that. I just wanted to take a little break. And then for books that I got for Christmas. The first one I actually bought myself, and it's Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahattin Ali. This is translated from Turkish by Maureen Freely and Alexander Daw. This is like a love story filled with like yearning and melancholy. I've been really interested in picking up some like love stories, some like sad love stories. Or not necessarily sad, but just like not like romance books. So I'm excited to read this one. The next one I have is Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. This one is like a very wintry book. It takes place on like a farm in the winter. So I want to read this soon while it's still like that kind of vibe. But it's about this man who is married to this like difficult woman, and her cousin comes to visit, and he becomes like kind of obsessed with her cousin. Do the other classics. My mom got me A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. The only Charles Dickens book I've read is David Copperfield, and I did not like that one very much. It was just so like long and unnecessarily so that it just felt like it was dragging completely. But obviously this one is much shorter, and my mom said that she really loved it, so I'm excited. It's historical fiction that takes place during the French Revolution, and it follows this like love triangle between these 3 characters. It sounds very dramatic and intense. And then the other book my mom got me is The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, which is translated from Russian. I have the Piver and Volonsky translation. A moment for this cover, please. Thank you. So beautiful. I love this cover. I've been wanting to read this book for a while, but just haven't picked it up and bought it. Oh, that's funny. It's blurbed by Daniel Radcliffe. But it's about, like, the devil comes to Moscow in the form of a cat, and then it kind of just is strange and quirky and extremely unique, I think. So I'm excited for this one. It's like, sounds very different. Okay, the next book I have is Mary Oliver's Devotions. This is her selected poems collection. It follows, like, in reverse chronological order of, like, her poetry publications. I read Upstream by her, which is, like, her essays on kind of nature and writing, and there's a lot of, it's not quite poetry, but it's like poetic in its language, so I'm excited. I'm not really a poetry person. This would be kind of new for me, but I've read or heard of some of her other poetry, and I feel like her poems are quite approachable. They're more like grounded, so they're a little bit easier for people like me to understand. Then the next one I have is The Days of Abandonment by Elena Ferrante, which is translated from the Italian by Anne Goldstein. I have never read an Elena Ferrante book before. I know most people start with the Neapolitan Quartet, but I checked the first one out from my library and read the first, like, 30 pages or so, and, like, it was good, but I wasn't, like, super into it, so I wanted to start somewhere else with her writing and then maybe go back to the quartet. But yeah, this one follows a woman who is abandoned by her husband after she has a child, and so I think it's very, like, raw and intense and angry. In an extremely similar vein, I have The Woman Destroyed by Simone de Beauvoir. This is translated from the French, but I actually, like, I don't think this book says who it's translated by. I was looking for it earlier and I could not find it, but I'm pretty sure it's translated. Oh, translated from the French by Patrick O'Brien. Nice, found it. This is technically 3 stories, and I don't know what the first 2 are about, but The Woman Destroyed is about a husband who cheats on his wife, leaves his wife. It's another, like, angry woman raging about the patriarchy book. And then the last book that I have is Notes of a Crocodile by Cui Maojin, translated from Chinese by Bonnie Hu. This book is set in Taiwan, actually. It's about this group of students in the 80s who are queer and misfits, and it's kind of their coming of age story and how each of them kind of finds themselves a little bit. The other thing I want to update you on is my knitting. Let me go get it. The first thing I have is this hat that I'm working on with, like, scrap yarn. It's super pretty. I'm mildly worried that I'm going to run out of yarn. I don't make hats very frequently, and I'm kind of trying to freestyle this one, so it's interesting. I'm not sure how well it's gonna turn out. I might end up, like, redoing it later, but so far it's pretty cute. It's, like, vertical, like I'm knitting it sideways. But yeah, I like the way the colors are blending together. But I've taken a break from that one because I've been focusing on my sweater. This is the Lume sweater that I'm knitting. I'm knitting it in Issachar Jensen yarn. And I feel like it's really cute. I'm not the best at color work. I feel like I'm still kind of a newbie. And so I feel like my tension isn't very even. Like the stitches look different. But it's coming together, and I think it'll look a lot better once it's finished and it's blocked and everything. So yeah, really good progress on this one though. Like I'm almost done with the yoke of it. That is my little update for you all.